Welcome back everyone. I think you're going to enjoy this one. This is an unfinished project, abandoned for 7 years. A lot of the bits on the bike are missing. All the bits that are on the bike are not even going to work for this bike. So we've got a lot of work to do. Let's get cracking. Where do I even start? Derailleur missing, cassette missing, chain missing. This carbon disc, 30 odd years old with a tubular tyre bonded on. We're not keeping this, unfortunately. Cool as it looks, this is a wall hanger only. We've got another wheel though, don't panic. Derailleur cassette and bottom bracket. I think that's the only bit that is correct for this bike at the moment, so they're staying. Half the brake missing, so we've got a new replacement holder for this, and obviously this all needs a damn good clean lubrication. Saddle's not fitted yet. Look at the state of this. So customers giving me sort of free rein to chop this where we deem fit. Yeah. Cable stops are missing, so we've got nothing to catch cables to at the moment. Front wheel's good, and I've got the matching rear wheel to replace that aging old carbon disc wheel, so that'll go on. Front brake's all good. Obviously we need cable up. A random TT handlebar, I think he's just dragged off another bike. This will work. Obviously we're going to retape all this, recable it all, clean it up the best we can. On a 10-speed system here, and these shifters seem to work pretty well. No cables. Derailleur brake levers. Again, no cables. And a bag full of random bits, half of which are not going to fit this bike. Let's see what we've got in here. There's a derailleur, green bar tape, another derailleur, cable end caps, a used cassette, an equally used chain, a star nut, and some more cable end caps. Right, Tiagra 10-speed derailleur, not going to work with these shifters. Braze on front derailleur. There is no braze on this frame, so that's no good. Chain and cassette, I think I'll be putting a new one on. I can't really use these. Bar tape, interesting choice of colour, but it might work okay. And some matching cable ends. I don't think we're going to need that. I've got hundreds of these anyway, so not much there really. So I bought some used parts for the bike for the customer. So I bought a 10-speed Ultegra rear derailleur, which will fit. Bought a band on Dura-Ace front derailleur to match the chain set. That will fit. Down tube cable stops. I've got a chain, got a cassette, cables, tyre, new rear wheel. I think that's about it. So where do we even start with something like this? Well, like I say, this wheel is coming off, unfortunately. It's 30 odd years old. It's a solid carbon disc, tubular tyre on a 23C, I think. I think it's buckled, you can't true these, and it's just a bad idea all around. This is fit for wall art only, I think. So the idea is the customer is going to sell this to sort of pay for bits and pieces on the bike itself. Someone will hang it on the wall and look pretty cool. It'll clean up quite nicely, but practicality wise, zero really on this one. So we get a modern wheel on there with a proper tyre on there. Chain set and bottom bracket, as I say, they're okay. I'll just pull these so we can get in there and clean it, get some fresh grease, take this brake off as well. Basically start with a fresh, complete frame. There's a major issue with this headset. I don't know what the problem is, but there's something not fitted properly in here. So pull the fork and then we'll start putting it back together and see if we can make a bike. It's got potential to look really good when it's done. I know it's a pretty old frame and pretty old technology nowadays, but you know, it'll look nice. It's a beautiful carbon finish on there, really nice. They used to paint over these sections in black paint to make it look like one piece, but this is basically where all the carbon sort of joining it up on the joins. All of them are just painted black. I've got another frame hanging up exactly the same like that. So I'll just whip this chain set out first of all. So you go, good old fashioned hollow tech one, so 2 bolts down, but well, they're not tight either. 2 bolts down the back. Good job we checked that, that's about to fall off. Well, that one's very, very tight and the other one was completely loose. So this one is very tight. It's coming off now. Very tight. All right, there we go. Tool has a little pin on the end just to flick this safety cap up with. Quite nice. Can't remember which tool this is. Undo this, take that out, and keep that to one side. This crank should just pull off like that. Bit of a tap on the other side with a soft mallet. There we go. Still a bit tight there. I use this BSC tool, which is just plastic drift. It goes through there and just allows you to tap the rest of it out like that. The bottom bracket's brand new. I can see the fresh Shimano grease in there, so that's staying put. I'll give it a clean, obviously, but that's brand new. All right, let's get this poor wheel out. Like I say, as cool as it looks, it just can't stay, unfortunately. There we go. This will look cool on somebody's wall, that's for sure. Like I say, we'll sell this, well, the customer will sell this on to pay for all the bits and pieces that we need. Might even take the cobweb off it before he sells it. Give it a flex in there, no nasty noises. It all looks good. I'm not sure the frame's ever been used, to be fair, but it looks good. This caliper's already loose, so we'll just take this off. Find the bolt. All right, just spin this off. There's the bolt. It's got some tricolour pads on here, look at that. Red, black, green. Anybody know who made them? So this is missing, this holder is missing. I have ordered a pair, well I've got a pair here of black 105 ones to replace that. So let's get that up and running again. Drop this front wheel out just to make a bit of space. Basically we're going to start from scratch on this, best way. It's not tight either, so we'll just take this off. So there's a major issue with this headset, I don't know what's going on here until we get in there. It's got these funky pads on it as well, look at them. Very nice. Who makes them? I'm going to drop this monstrosity out and see what's inside. Oh my god. We call this a tower of indecision, but this is clearly not had any attempt at all to be chopped. It's huge. Like I say, the customer's given me free rein to chop it where I deem necessary. I'm not even sure he's ever going to use this bike. It's probably going to, I say, probably hang on the wall and look cool, but we'll take it out. I've been looking forward to doing this one. It's slightly more interesting than most. And I think the end result should look pretty damn cool. Well, this should just come off now. There you go, complete. No cables, so it's nice and easy. A few more spaces. The headset's brand new. So it's obviously a bare frame now, so I'll just give it a quick dust. It is clean, it's just dusty, so let's give that a quick wipe down. Anyone know what year this frame is? I've got no idea personally. Interesting to find out. So front derailleur wise, we've got a cable guide in place and there's a hole here for the cable. So all the important bits. I think I'm going to check this bottom bracket's tight, just in case. It might just be in there loosely. Okay, so if you're going to get a torque wrench for a bike, make sure you get one that torques in a left-hand thread, anti-clockwise direction. A lot of them won't give you an accurate torque reading or won't even click if you're trying to do a left-hand thread, such as a bottom bracket. Right, that's tight. That's tight. There's an AC Delco ARM 601-3 3/8 drive. Let's give it some polish before we get any further. And we're done with the frame basically then. These stickers are just stuck on, they are just vinyl stickers, they're not actually painted on. Dropout's loose as well. This is what, when you're cleaning a frame like this, you've noticed little bits and pieces, so that dropout is loose. You probably wouldn't have noticed that if you weren't literally touching every millimetre of the frame. Going down. Yeah, it's as good as new. It has never been on the road. There's no stone chips, nothing. Right, just get this tightened up, 2.5 mil. So that's what we're left with. Let's get rid of these bars for now. We've got a bit of work to do on these, especially cleaning them up, retape, etc. and cables. 2 brakes, front derailleur, rear derailleur. So these down tube cable stops, we're going to need them. 1,000 headset spacers. We've got to get this crown racer off here first. It is a split one, so basically we're just going to leave it open and it'll just fly straight off. And once you catch an edge on it, it comes off very easily. It's off. I'm pretty sure this is the correct split race. That'll sit down there like that. Just get a little bit of grease down here, which is unlikely to seize, but just best practice. And it'll just push straight on. It's a split race, so very easy to fit like that. Done. Alright, so now we've put that one where it should be. The bearing obviously sits on that, goes into the frame, that bearing, then you've got your expanding wedge. There's a sort of a shim spring wavy washer type thing here, and then your top cap. And that's it. That's how that sits in. Perfect. Like I say, he's left me sort of free rein on here, so I think we'll leave 3 spaces on there, then we can move this up and down if need be, and trim this piece off here. So it's still going to be quite high, but like I say, this one can go on the top if need be, or we can make a combination of thicker or thinner ones on here. And if you want it even lower, we've still got some more to chop off, but we can't leave it like this, it's just ridiculous. So we'll chop that to there and fit this in. Right, so I've just compressed that by hand now. Loosely tighten this bolt here, so we'll mark the steerer and we'll cut that 3mm below, and then we can assemble it. Just mark this up with a pick. There you go. And we can just drop it all back out again and cut this fork off. First we'll take this expander out the top. And I'm going to cut that in half. There you go. So obviously that sits inside the frame there, so once that's cut it'll sit there and reinforces the stem area. I want to cut 3mm below this mark that I've put around about. We've got a bit of flexibility on this with different spacers, so it's not the end of the world. So with the width of the blade, that's going to work out pretty much where we want it there. So obviously always wear a mask when you're cutting with carbon. So let's get cutting. Alright, so once that's cut, put put this expander back in here. Tying that down with a 6mm. Make sure it's bottomed out properly. These normally about 5 Newton meters, but they don't need to be crazy tight. It's purely for tension in the headset. And a little bit of crush resistance on there. So what you don't want to do is overexpand it and blow the carbon. So don't go crazy with that one there. Right, let's get this back in the bike. Bit of grease on there. So the bottom bearing is in with some grease. Put that in there. Top bearing in, again some grease on there. Put your expander in there. There's a shim in here, spring washer shim. There's an O-ring on here, should hold it all together in a minute, hopefully. Put this on, get your logos lined up, may as well. Put the 3 spaces on that we decided to keep, or I decided to keep. And then put the stem on. Right, that looks about right, we've got about a 2mm gap here. Put this top cap in there, and we should be able to tension this headset. It's still potentially a bit long, but we can always take more off, you can't put it back on. You've got flexibility to raise or lower the stem like this, it's better than it was. Like I say, it's easy to chop a bit more off if need be. Right, let's nip this up, see if we can get that right. That feels beautiful. Right, we have a headset. And this stem is marked as 6 Newton meters. These bolts are a bit crusty, I think I might change these over. Letting it down a bit. It looks a bit fresher. They might be a bit long, but I can trim them later if need be. Actually, just right. Good. Let's get these torqued up to 6 Newton meters. Done. Clean off any excess grease from the install. Right, step 1. Done. I do want to try and clean this stem a bit. It looks like it's picked up some paint from when it's been stored for so many years. Water-based paint just wipes off and looks good as new. It's all over the bar and the grips and everything, so it might take a while, but I'll do that off camera. There they are. Spent 2 days looking for these, I've just found them. So get this front wheel and brake back in now. So it should come together fairly quickly. It's just any sort of compatibility issues along the way that might slow us down a bit. I can get this brake back in. Gonna get a quick wipe down first. It's a bit dusty, but really good condition still. I'm not sure it's ever been used. These bits of tape here shouldn't be here. These are packing tape from when they're in the box to stop them marking. They tend to stay on there forever and a day, so take them off. There you go. Save yourself 1/10 of a gram. You do leave up with a sticky residue, but that'll wipe off. Literally as good as new, so we're just going to get some grease on here because these do tend to get seized up. Drop that through the fork and just spin that through the back. We'll centre it when the wheel's in, but let's get it somewhere close. It's not going to be far off there. Let's drop this wheel in there. Quite nice wheels these are, don't they? Icon Ultra hubs. Nice. That's good. We'll work on this brake when we've got some cables attached to it, and that's in now. So the customer did supply me with a matching rear wheel for the front one. It's got a cassette on it, but it's an 11-speed, and obviously this is a 10-speed system, so that's no good. It did supply a cassette in the bag. I'll just have a look at it, see what it looks like. I took the cassette off, and I've got a brand new tyre here to match the front tyre, exactly the same one. Nice. I need a tube, obviously. Let's have a look at this cassette he's given me. I'm not a big fan of fitting used cassettes or chains. I don't know what way they are. I mean, if they're worn together and they've come off and they were in spec, you'd be okay, but it's not ideal. There's a 105 cassette. Let's put it on, see how we get on. There's a 10-speed chain, so we might be okay, see if it's long enough. Try and keep the costs reasonable for him. He supplied them, so we'll give them a go. Worst that's going to happen is it's going to skip under load and we have to put a new one on anyway. Looks like about 1230. Quite big for a TT bike, I guess, but let's see how it goes. So, let's get his tyre and tube on. I think these are going to be a tight fit. Even getting the Easy Bead on was tight. Make sure you get a valve that's deep enough. I don't think that's going to work. New tube. Okay, so I've run out of long valve tubes, so I've got a TPU tube I'll put in this as a ride now. You can have this as a freebie. This is from one of the videos I did. I've still got them all kicking around. There's tubes everywhere. That's a little bit. Oh, good fit. There you go. Oh, really. The shaft's a bit short still, but I think we'll be okay. I need to go and order some new tubes. Well, I've got a wheel. This tube's still too short, but it's inflated for now. I'm just going to go and order some new tubes in case an actual customer comes in. Let's get this back on the bike. Right, so next problem, there's a 28 that I've matched on the front as a 28, and there's no way that's got clearance on this old frame. So I'm going to have to drop these down to 25, so bear with. Okay, so I've just changed both tyres over to 25 now, and found a tube that actually fits properly on the back as well. So that's the result. Right, now we've got space. Good. we can continue. Derailleurs and chain set next, I think. Actually, we'll put this brake on. The caliper for the rear. So this pad's missing, so I've got some new ones. Caliper's a bit sticky, actually. It's a little bit sluggish to return, so I'm just going to get some lubrication on these pivots. A bit more responsive now, that's more like it. Let's get these pads in. To get black ones, I'd buy Shimano ones, unfortunately. So we're going to get rid of this funky one that's on here. Got a big groove on it anyway, actually, so it's seen better days. So let's fit these. This is not difficult, it's just literally 2 bolts. Take this one off, 4mm. On these pads, they are directional, so you've got a blanked end on here to stop the pad basically pulling forward. This is an open end to remove the cartridge, so make sure the blanked off end is facing the direction of travel. Bolt them in loosely and we'll get them lined up when they're on the bike. Again, a bit of grease on this mounting bolt as well. This can be a bit tricky to get in here because there's not much clearance with the frame. Okay, if you're struggling to get it in like that, like I am, take the wheel out. Put the bolt on the Allen key like this. All the grease is in the frame, don't worry, there's grease there. Put the bolt into the frame like that, and then just spin the caliper onto the bolt like that. You're not going to get it perfectly tightened like that, but you'll get it more than enough. And then the Allen key can just tighten it in place. So that's probably the easier way of doing it. And then we're just going to very basically center these. We'll fine tune it later on. So squeeze this on and get it locked down basically with your Allen key into where you want it. Squeeze it onto the rim evenly and just lock that back nut down. And you'll be somewhere close then. You can fine tune later if need be. It's going to be pretty close then. And we're just going to set these pads. Again, squeeze that on, just a 4mm here. And get it centralised to the rim. You don't want to be hitting the tyre. Don't worry too much about toe. There is a little bit of ability to tow these in, but it's pretty limited and generally not required. Right, that's that one on. I'll just do the other side. This Derailleur Ace crank can go back in there. It's a very lightweight unit. I'm just going to give it a quick clean first. It's a bit dusty, and then we'll get this back in. Right, just get a bit of grease on the axle. Don't worry about the middle bit too much. It doesn't do anything, but where the bearings actually sit, get some grease on there. To be fair, when you put it in, this seal pushes 90% of it off anyway, so don't worry too much about it. Okay, get the other side on. 177.5 these cranks are. The guy is pretty tall. It's a pretty preloader in there. That's fine, doesn't need much more than that. Make sure your safety cap is engaged and just torque these up evenly. Remember how loose one of these was? It was proper loose compared to the other side, so tighten them evenly. I've got no pedals for this bike, so I'm guessing he's got his own pedals we can use. I've got a workshop pedal there, so we want 12 to 14 Newton meters on these, but I've done enough of these to know how tight that feels. Right, that's great. Good stuff. Now I can put the front derailleur on. So this is the one the customer supplied me, but there's no braze-on mount on this frame, so no use. So we need one of the older band-on versions. I ordered it second-hand, used Derailleur Ace off eBay. Not a bad price actually, I think it's about £30. And that'll just go around the frame there. I do like this era of Derailleur Ace. It's a very, very nice looking kit. It normally works pretty well as well. Alright, let's get this somewhere close. You want a 1 to 3mm gap here on the biggest part of the ring, because these can fluctuate with teeth profiles, so just spin it around. We're pretty good there. And you'll make sure you are parallel as well, so the front of the cage and the back of the cage need to be level. If you're doing something like a SRAM AXS, they don't sit level at all. If you actually put them on, they're almost like this. The angle that they ask for is pretty extreme. Alright, don't do this very tight, because obviously we're only on carbon. All we're looking for is to stop this spinning in normal use. I'm not going any tighter than that, because the last thing you want to do is start crushing this tube. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so that front derailleur is on. Looking great. Not sure they're exactly the same generation, but they're pretty good. And again, rear derailleur, Tiagra 10-speed is completely different cable pull ratio to anything else, even in the Shimano hierarchy, so you can only use Tiagra 10-speed with a Tiagra 10-speed shifter. So they're pretty useless for anything else. Alright, this 10-speed Ultegra is going to work perfectly for this one. Beautiful derailleur as well. We could have got a Derailleur Ace to match the back, but the cost was pretty much double of an Ultegra, and the performance is going to be the same. Just put a little bit of grease on your mounting bolt and get this screwed in. Almost starting to look a bit like a bike. Cabling up's going to be the time-consuming one on this one because of the bar design. It's going to be a lot more time-consuming than normal. We can do these basic bits first though. Alright, so derailleurs are on. I need to set these limit screws to this cassette. They're actually pretty good as they are. Can't really get my camera any closer than that, but this one's sitting underneath the high, and this one is sitting pretty much under the low. We might need we might need a little tweak when we set the gears. I think this one low needs a little bit more first though. Let's give her half a turn. Right, probably a bit too much. It's pretty good there. So high looks pretty good where it is as well. So we'll go with that for now. Alright, so we're looking good. Let's get a workshop pedal on this. That's good. So wheels are on, freewheeling, derailleurs are on, brakes are on, headset's done. Right, chain, and then we need to cable her up. Alright, I'll try this chain that he's given me. It is a 10-speed KMC unit. It's not the best in the world, but let's see if it works. Just going to put that in a little bit on the high limit, just a little bit too far. There you go. It's just going to look plausible. Let's get a link in there. Obviously the derailleurs are used, but that's a different story. They will last forever almost. 0.6, we're in spec. So we'll go with that for now. So that's big. Basically we've got capacity. I think we'll probably end up taking one link out of this chain because it was a little bit long on small, and we've still got capacity on big. But when it's cabled up, it's going to be a lot easier to tell that. Basically that's what's going to work. A little bit long here, so. Next thing we need is some cable stops on these bits here. So these are Shimano cable stops. They just bolt straight onto there. Shame they don't come in black, maybe they do, but this is all I could find. Screw this in because we're going to need that. There is one on the rear derailleur, but it's useful to have two. And there's just one little bolt there. And that's it really, just screw straight in. It's proper old-fashioned stuff this is. You won't see many of these around now. Well, 3mm Weehaw, unfortunately, dead. 3mm seem to wear out faster than anything else. The ball end's worn out completely. Not a very good fit on there. There's a bit of a curvature on this. It's going to dig into the frame. I think I'm going to put a little washer behind this one here or something because I'm not very happy how that's sitting on the frame. This bit here could potentially dig into the frame here. I mean, I could potentially file this off. It's got a curved profile and this frame's obviously pretty flat, so it's not fitting very well. I don't want to just keep tightening that bolt and end up pushing this through the frame, so you've got to be careful. You can't tell if that's bottomed out on that bit there, that's the issue. I don't think it is. It doesn't need to be particularly tight, don't get me wrong, but I'd like it to fit a bit better than that. Even the other way up on the other side, it's not much better. It's just digging in the bottom here. Follows the curvature around here slightly better, but still not great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flatten this off a little bit with the grinder, just to get it to sit a bit better on this flat piece here without this digging into the frame. It needs to be pretty much almost flat for this bike. So I'm just going to file this top, it's literally just a sort of 1/2 mm off here just to make this a flatter profile. It's only aluminium, so it files very easily. Right, that seems a lot better now. I can hear it rattling around on the stop, so what I'll do is I'll put the screw in loosely and I'll check it for clearance. Some people would probably say run a full out a bit. Yeah, to be honest, it looked terrible. These look quite funky. This Allen key. Right, that's gone to me. Emergency Wearer 3mm. It's a little stubby Wearer one. Sorry, I'm not a fan. Right, so that's reasonably tight there. I don't want to do it much tighter, but I'm pretty sure I can get a piece of paper down there still. Yeah, so that's not touching the frame there now. Same on the bottom. Perfect, right, we'll get away with that. Refit the barrel adjuster into that now. Put some anti-seize on this because these do seize badly. Here we go, fitted. So like I say, you've got to be careful. If I'd have just cranked that down without looking and being a bit willy-nilly with it, I'd have put that straight through the side of the carbon frame and that'd have been game over pretty much, so be careful. That's nice. Right, I'll just do the same on the other side. Right, I think I'll look at this saddle first before we do anything else. Get this a bit tighter. Just doing my head in, rattling around. It's on a micro adjust, so there's a little thumb at the front that you loosen. Or tighten, depending where you want it. So we're going to tighten this down a bit because I want to just drop this front end a little bit more. And there should be a 4 or 5mm bolt back here. So back the 5mm out a little bit, and then you tighten this thumb wheel back down, and then that basically adjusts the saddle. It's probably a bit more level than it was. The guy's never ridden it yet, obviously, so he'll probably want to fine tune this himself, but he's pretty capable of that kind of thing. So we'll set this just in the middle of the rails for now and just tighten this down. See, when you tighten it, it will pull that back a little bit. This for water bottle cages? Yeah, I guess so. TT bikes, different world. Right, that's that good. I'm going to clean it because it's covered in paint. So it's just got dots of paint on here which are not doing it any favours, so I'll clean that off. That's a bit better. So now we need to start looking at cabling up really. There is some brake cable outers already in here. They're a funny colour, they're grey, so they're not really matching. But lengthwise, they're actually pretty good for this bike, so it gives us a good indication. We can replicate the length of that front one, and this rear one goes into the frame there, and again looks like a decent length, so a little bit short possibly. No, you're going to hit the bar before that tightens up, so that's fine. Okay, so we can remove these and replicate the length for the brake outers. This gear one here, it's maybe a little bit on the long side. Again, you've got to have room to be able to turn the bar, so we're going to turn this bar all the way around until basically that's going to start hitting the top tube there. So you can't be any shorter, so that's probably about right to be fair like that. You don't want it any shorter of any. So again, we'll replicate that and we'll do exactly the same for the other side on the gears. First of all, we've got to take all this bar tape off and just clean them up basically, and then we'll recable. Let's get this rubbish off. Well, I'll just cut this off and I'll come back. There's some bits of Velcro here. I think once upon a time I was supposed to hold that on, but I'm not really doing much now, so I'm going to take them off as well. I want to try and clean these up a bit dusty. I'm just going to use an airline, see if that helps. Cover your ears. Beautiful. Alright, just clean the rest of this rubbish off now. Nice bars, these are profile design. I still don't know how anybody can ride on these things though, sorry. More you than me. Actually cleaned up pretty well there. So what we're going to do is take these levers off, get the housing out the back, and then just replicate that with fresh housing. Put the levers back in. Derailleur levers, the little screw here says tighten, so you've got a left-hand thread on it. I'm not quite sure why that would need a left-hand thread, but that's what we got. Just loosen that off. There you go. Why would that be a left-hand thread, anybody? I don't get it. That's the lever there, and that's where the cable would sit in there. So that's that one there for the front brake, UK front brake. We're feeling brave. Yeah, we can't really go wrong on this because we can only push it through there and it'll come through itself. So let's just get this out. We'll route that, no problem. This is old Derailleur cable, but the rest of it's going to be black, so we're going to change it to black to match. End of this cable, I've just flattened it off on the grinder so you don't get any little metal bits sticking up. And just open it up. Make sure you prepare these cables pretty well, otherwise it's a bit crap. Alright, need some end caps on this. So how that fits in that lever, you won't fit an end cap in there, that cable will just sit there, same as their road levers. And the caliper, you won't fit one either, so we're going just with the bare cable. Both the lever and the caliper are going to act as the stops, by the looks of it. Some need it, some don't. Alright, so we just should be able to just thread this through the bar and it'll pop out the end. Not too much difficulty, otherwise I've got problems. You don't want it out of there, but yeah, we're in the right direction. So we're just going to poke it through the rest of the way because we didn't want it out of there. There you go. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to locate that in there. It will sort itself out when the cable's in. Push the lever back in. Tighten this back in. I'm very perplexed as to why that's got a left-hand thread on it. Please explain, somebody. That's that one done. Same on this one, I'm just going to push this through. No problem. Some glue residue on here, so just going to clean that off. We are taping over it anyway, but this is goo gone, so it's a sticky label remover stuff. There you go. And so this lever, pretty straightforward. These are for internally stuff. I mean, these are not getting easier, does it? All that camera battery's flat again. Wow, you won't believe how many batteries I go through. It's crazy. Just a little bit of torque on there. Good. That's the brake housings pretty much in. We'll get some cables in there in a minute. That will drop down to the frame in here. See if I can get a stop on that one. I see a problem. So this is a fully internal outer housing for the brake. It's just been cut off short, so this is no good like that. Okay, start again. Right, so on the brake, that's not going to work because what I didn't realise is here's a full housing. I thought that was a stop, but that's actually going straight in the frame, so we need a full piece from there to there. So this piece I've just cut needs to come back out again. So just take the lever off again, push this back out. This is going to be no use, but it'll go to the pile of spares. It'll get used for something, don't worry. Alright, so we need one that's basically the full length of the bike. Alright, so obviously when I've got this frame there's nothing in here, so we've got to internally route that. We've got tools, we can get it through, no problem. So hook that in there and basically replicate where it's going to be on the frame. It's going to be in there. It comes out of here, this big deep recess, and then we want it up to the lever. And basically replicate where we're going to go to the bar. This is going to be around about there, up to around about here. So we can cut this off. We can trim it at the back end once we got it all back in, but we won't be far off like that. Right, extra couple of inches just in case. So the chances of me threading this through here and out the other side are 0. Look at that, absolutely no chance. Didn't think it would. Well, it is actually there. It's made it. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Oh my God, I'm amazed. So there must be some sort of internal guide on this frame. So thank you very much, Dolan. That's saved 10 minutes of work. Let's just thread this through to where it should be, approximately. I'm amazed. Back in the day, they'd actually gone to the effort of doing that. That's brilliant. Right, so this sits nicely there like that. Obviously squeeze the calipers on because that's going to make a difference to the length of the cable. So we're about right there. And this is going to go back into the bar again like we had before. And just push that through. It's going to come out this side again, so just push it back in again. And there we go. Look at that. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that that was internally routed like that. So we are a bit long, which is fine, but it'd be too long and too short. That's what she said. So give yourself enough slack if you turn the corner. On this bike, the aero bar is going to hit the top tube before you go any further, so that's enough slack there. So we can cut this off around about here, and we'll just push the rest of it through the other end. The problem doing this is I can't finish this cable now on the grinder. So just going to cut this little piece off the end. You don't want that folded over. So normally I run it on the grinder, but I can't now. Or can I? Perfect. Sketchy as. Do as I say, not as I do. Right, that's nice. Good. I can refit this lever. So you just get that in there, push it in, and tighten it the wrong way around. I really don't need much torque on there at all. So all you're doing is forcing against the carbon there, and these really want to be able to move in an accident. So that's not going anywhere. That wasn't so bad. Turn it back around. So gear cable wise, I'm going to replicate this one, and I'm going to cut the same one twice. Right, I'm hoping I can get that back through there as well without too much difficulty. If not, there's ways. Alright, I'll cut 2 of these. Wish me luck. It's going to go through there and out the other side. Down here somewhere. It might be easy to go from the other side, but we'll try it. Look at that. Oh my God. Internal cable gods are really shining on me today. Beautiful. Right, cooking on gas. Not going to pull it too far. Right, let's put an end cap on this and get it back in the lever. We've still got the funky green bar tape to put on yet. Not sure how that's going to look, but yeah, it'll be different, that's for sure. Right, let's locate these back in these levers. Give it a bit of a bend. That's in. And that's in. Good. Use one of these little double clip things. That's better. Right, cables. And we need some housing for the rear derailleur first. So we just need a bit of housing from here to here. That's easy. A few random bits that I've got cut off. Are these going to be long enough? I can live with that. Not bad at all. Right. There's that in for there as well. That looks good to me. Right. This bike is almost alive. Let's get a cable in there. Right, super easy here. These just go through the end and then through the housing. I'm going to easier than this. Through the bottom of the lever into the gear housing we've just put in. So that should come out these new down tube ones. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Drop that down to the bottom gear. Through there. Oh yeah. Moment of truth. I don't know why I feel sorry for bikes. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But I do. Poor thing's been abandoned for 7 years. Not for much longer. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Well, we'll hook this up and then we'll do the front one and then we'll see if we've got any gears. There's no reason why we shouldn't. So we had 2 barrel adjusters here. Obviously we've got this one and the one we fitted on the down tube as well. So loader adjustment. Just nip it up. We might need to readjust yet, but that should be okay there. Always check your tension here. If you've got almost a guitar string sort of thing, you're about right. Right, I'll just run this front one through the lever and I'll meet you back here because that could be interesting. So here's the front derailleur cable underneath this guide. There's a tiny little hole here, it's tiny. Thread that through and it's literally come straight out the other side, which is highly unusual. Don't kink it. And that's that, so they're through. So just clamp this to the front derailleur and we're about done. So limit screws are not bad, I know I've already checked by hand, but we can tweak them if need be. So on the front derailleur, always check, take this off if you're not sure. Take the nut out and you'll always see a line on a Shimano. So there's a groove there, that's where they want the cable to sit. Not here, not there, not around here. They want it to sit there. So it goes over this little tab and then pinches in here like that. If you're not sure, check on Shimano's website because it's really important you get that right. If you don't get it right, then the gears won't work because it'll be pulling the wrong cable ratio. So just check. Like I say, it's normally pretty obvious when you take that pinch bolt out where it's got to sit. We've got a barrel adjuster, that's a 4mm. We have a barrel adjuster on the down tube obviously, so we're okay there. But let's get a reasonable amount of tension on this and you'll feel it click into there anyway. And just nip it up. Some of them are a bit neater nowadays because they go back down here out of the way, otherwise this is just going to hit the crank every time, but that's where it needs to be. Alright, believe it or not, we can try the gears now. Actually, we'll just trim this off because we can't be that far off. Before we do the gears, we just need to settle these housings in, so I'm just going to pull the lever forward quite firmly and it will just settle all these plastic housings onto the cable. Right, let's try that. So one click, nowhere near. We are pretty tight, so we're not far off. So we'll just unscrew this a bit until we're going up there. We've left it in the next gear, so just keep doing this until it shifts. Like that. Give it an extra one turn really. We'll go back down and then back up again, see if it'll make the shift. Yep. Not bad to tell. It's a bit jumpy going down, so you can get away with a bit more cable tension to help it going up, and it'll still shift nicely going down. So we'll give it another sort of one turn, and that'll be a bit better. So up. And down again. A bit smoother going down now, not quite so jumpy. That's really nice. Right, let's try the front derailleur. Front down to the little ring, no problem. Up to the big chainring. No issues at all there, absolutely beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh, well that means is we can use these funky green ones that he's given me to put on here. Let's get these on. I say we could have put a Dura Ace on the back, but the brakes are 105 anyway, so we're kind of a mixture of everything now, so Ultegra works perfectly, so. Okay, it's not too bad I guess. We'll see what the bar tape looks like though. I'll get some brake cables in here now. Hopefully these should just go straight through. This could be interesting. Oh no, lovely. They can either go straight in or be an absolute nightmare. Nice. It's going to go all the way through to the caliper, hopefully. That's out the back end now, so I can pull that through. Right, so brakes are the easy bit, obviously, on these, super easy. Then we're going to wrap the bars. Well, these pads are miles away from where they should be as well, so let's do that first. Let's get this somewhere close. Up there. What about there? Slacken this off a bit. You can either take it all the way out or you can just feed the cable through the gap. Don't make no difference. Like that. Pinch these on a bit. Let them back out a bit because you want a bit of travel, obviously. Make sure your barrel adjusters all the way in. Nip these up gently first. Just try this lever. Actually no, it doesn't, it just pulled through. I didn't do it tight enough. Yeah, when I say nip it up gently, do it a bit tighter than that. And try that. Beautiful. Right, I'm happy with that, so we'll tighten this down fully. Which is not much more than it already is, to be fair. Like that. Trim this, and then we can put another green one on here. It feels really good. It's even centered as well, that wasn't a bad guess. pinch it on, squeeze it through, let it go a little bit, and nip that up a bit. Try your lever. Terrible. Need a lot more than that. Something's just seated itself when I pulled that, so let's have a go again. Try that. That's better. Not quite centered, we just need to move this caliper over a fraction. Like that. Yeah, I've got a screw here, but it's just as easy to use the back bolt. That's pretty sweet. Make sure your cable, you can use the EP ones like this or end on as well. Great tool. And that's on. So now all we've got to do is chuck some bar tape on this. One thing I've never wrapped before, believe it or not, is a TT bar. Just a little bit of tape from here to here going outside, so let's just crack on with that. Funky green lizard skins one. I'm not convinced myself, but we'll get some on. Should be more than enough here to do 2 little bits on either side and the aero bar. I always tend to take my gloves off when I'm wrapping bars, to keep it nice and clean. It is no stretch, but I'm giving it a tiny bit here, otherwise it's just going to fall off. So it's just a matter of where you want to stop, really. It's literally just here for your hand grip, so you can do the whole thing if you want, but it'll look a bit ridiculous. Alright. That's more than enough there. Right, I'm going to cut the excess off because we've obviously got far too much here. We should probably get all 4 bits out of one, I think, but we've got another one if we need it. So to finish this, it's the same as another one really, we just need to go at an angle, basically. So we're going to go across here like this, like that, basically. So finish that bit underneath, and we're going this way here. So we're covering this up with tape in here. So there's no harm doing that, just to make sure you cut it right, because you can't put it back on, unfortunately. And then we're just cutting that off there. Like so. And then just a bit of normal insulating tape to hold that on. And it'll taper in there like that, lovely. Nice. And we're just going to tape over that. We have got the lizard skin finishing tape as well, but I'm not sure how successful that's going to be like that. We'll try. Just get that started along the line that you've cut. Straighten it up, bit of tension, and go around there. Just make a bit of effort to get this nice and tidy, otherwise it looks a bit crap. And again, finish that on the bottom. You don't want to see any cuts. Tuck it underneath. Perfect. I'm still not convinced on the colour, but it's wrapped quite nicely. So the finishing tape, we've only got 2 pieces, and I'm not sure that's going to be enough. It might be enough for 4, because we've got 4 bits to do, don't forget. I'll cut it in half and see how it looks. So finishing tape is just normally terrible. Normally the first bit will fall off by the time I've wrapped the 4th bit. It's just a waste of time normally, but saying that, lizard skins normally stays on fairly well. So we're going to cover that tape there, give it a bit of a stretch and wrap it to the bottom there. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's not very good, look at it, it's just, I'm really not a fan of this stuff at all, but it's on. Right, carry on. Obviously this one we're wrapping to the opposite direction. This bike is nearly ready, I can't believe it. It's been here, I've had this bike, I'm not lying, it's been here at least 7 weeks waiting for its time. It's better than 7 years I guess, but it's been here a while. And finally managed to get time to get it done. Been looking forward to doing this one. It's come out pretty nice. Mechanically it's working beautifully. And cosmetically it's actually in pretty good shape, apart from this green bar tape, maybe. It's different, I'll give it that. This is the longest bar wrap job ever, I know, I'm sorry, but we're on the home straight now, so just relax and enjoy. If you've enjoyed this video, I know everybody always says the usual blurb, but honestly, if you have enjoyed it and you're not subscribed and all that great stuff, then please consider doing so, because it really does help, and it really makes me happy as well. I'm one of them sad people that sits there and watches the subscriber numbers go up pretty much by the hour. I guess the novelty will never wear off on that one, but we're getting there. We're coming up for 9,000 at the moment, so we'll see where we are when this video drops. It's probably about a month away in reality, so we'll see where we are. Let's put that bit on there. I had to put my shorts back on because it's still, I mean, it's July at the end of the day, so it's going to be warm, but the UK we're not used to it. It's either too cold, too hot, we're never happy. We're always complaining about the weather, basically. It's not a professional hobby of British people. So we're not kit out for it, we don't have aircon and stuff like that, so when it's too hot, it really is too hot. It's actually gone pretty nicely as well. I think this bar's going to be too wide for the finishing tape there, because it's a lot wider than this bit, so I don't think even if we cut it in half, it's not going to be wide enough for that. I mean, I'll do a bit, but it'll probably just fall off because it's not going to stick on itself around the back. We'll try it. If it's fell off in the morning, I'll take it off. And again, we'll match the direction of the writing. Give it a good stretch on this one. And see what happens. It looks okay at the moment. Beautiful. I don't get many TT bikes, and I've had 3 in this week. Like buses. I've done a video on the other two, the two there, Quintano Roo bikes. Wasn't a great deal wrong with them, to be fair, but probably enough to make a video. I filmed it. I'll see how the edit looks. This one is obviously going to make a pretty decent video, I think. So feels good. Okay. So we're finished. I hope you enjoyed that. Some different bits and bobs on here that you've probably not seen before. I think it's came together really, really nicely actually. Mechanically it's working beautifully. Cosmetically it's actually in really, really good condition. Still not sure about the green, but hey, that's customer's choice. We can't argue. Customer's always right, as they say. So yeah, we are done. Mechanically perfect. Cosmetically very nice as well. So I'll let the customer know. If you enjoyed watching this video, please, like I say, do consider subscribing and all that great stuff. Super thanks enabled if you want to chip towards some new projects. That's always really gratefully received. And stay tuned for more, because there's so much more to come. Thanks for watching.